Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to this Facebook Live on conscious relationship design, being single. Thank you so much for all the questions that you've sent in, and they might be enough to fill several lives with. So for tonight, I'm just going to pick a few and talk about those with you, and feel welcome to respond in the comments any moment you want to share something about your experience or ask me anything or whatever. So welcome everyone. Feel free to say hi. Hello. So I received several super interesting questions, and one of the questions that was asked and that came back a few times is that how can it be that I feel super empowered, super powerful, and then as soon as I step into a relationship, I don't. I feel worse. I feel less empowered. Um, I feel, let's see, let's get the question. That I can feel 100% myself when I'm with myself, but as soon as I'm in a relationship, I kind of lose that. And it's something that I know so well. I know so well, especially in retrospect. I've had it several times that I was in a long-term relationship of several years or of 1 year, and that as soon as the relationship was over, I started to feel so much more empowered. My business started growing big time. I had a focus again. And looking back, I realized that I kind of lost that during the relationships. And I've been thinking about that quite a bit. And what happens, and you might notice it when you are single and dating, it might be the exact same thing, is that as soon as you really start to like someone, or as soon as those attachment systems switch on, and those are the moments when you start having expectations, when you start having these feelings for someone, when you start kind of like when you feel your center is kind of wobbling in another direction. And that can happen either when really starting a relationship, but maybe when you're like me, I am like dating a non-monogamous. So I'm dating several people. Sometimes with some people it just happens, and with some it doesn't. And to me, it is when the attachment system switches on, when I start losing my power. And what is that? What happens is that we all have an attachment system, is how human beings attach to each other. And that can be in a healthy and empowering way. And it can also be in a way that makes us dependent, codependent on the other person. Especially when you're unsafely attached, when your mechanisms are attaching in an unsafe way. Meaning that either you are avoiding closeness with the other person, or either you are seeking it a lot, the closeness with another person. And if you want to know more, check out my other videos, because I've been speaking about this a lot. When those mechanisms, the either I want distance or the I want closeness, when those kick in, that is when we start losing our center and starting to depend on the other person. And often to create this sense of safety, because basically what we want is a sense of safety, and inherently the sense of safety is in closeness, is in intimacy, is when our nervous systems are feeling safe, are co-regulating with another person's nervous systems. That is when we feel safe, and it's our biggest fear. So we have all these mechanisms, because being really close and being really safe means that we have to let go of all the walls that we have to let go of all our protection mechanisms, and that is super scary. So our subconscious, or a little less conscious, and maybe our super conscious, has all these strategies to be liked and to prevent real closeness. So as soon as we will start moving into a relationship, we will start adapting ourselves a bit. And when we really like someone, we might hold back on our full truth. We might behave in ways that we expect the other person will like. we will, edit our real truth, edit what we would do if we were not in this relationship or connection, or however you want to call it. So that is when we start losing our power. So that is when some people say 30%, some people say 90%. That is when we lose that I am 100% myself sense. So we edit ourselves, we adapt ourselves to be closer, yet not too close. So it is these attachment systems that kick in that make us feel less of ourselves as soon as we start bonding to someone. So I hope that brings a little bit of clarity. Let me know if you want to know more about this topic. Another question that was asked is about labels. It's about when you are single and connecting with people. So this is about being single, but not about being celibate. So some people, if you're in the non-monogamy spheres, some people might call it solo poly. So you are solo, yeah, polyamorous or openly relating to several people. And some questions are about how to deal with labels, how to explain to the outer world who someone is, how to not use labels, how does it work? Well, the thing is, when we're relating inside the paradigm, it's easy. We all know how we call things. You're seeing someone, you're dating someone, you're engaged, you're married, whatever. But when you start stepping out of this paradigm, there are no rules. There are only the rules that you create. And one of these things that you can create is whether or not to use labels. So personally, my feeling about this is that for me to be able to relate at all, I need a certain feeling of safety. That also has to do with the attachment systems, that I need to feel safe to open up to someone and to really show my inner world to someone. And there is always, especially when you are moving into non-monogamy area, there is this two directions. On the one hand, I want to feel safe, and on the other hand, I want to feel free. And these might feel like they go against each other. So what I do is I want to be free, but I want to feel safe enough to be free. It's this paradox of intimacy, is we need safety to feel free and we need to feel free to feel safe. So what I do is I try to find ways for myself where I feel free enough and safe enough. And actually using a label for my nervous system brings a certain amount of safety. I could do without any labels, but without labels to me might feel too unsafe, too free and too open and wobbly. So if you're asking how to relate without labels, if you really want to go for that practice of not calling anyone anything, then I would say work a lot on finding all the safety you need inside yourself, or through friends, through a sister group or a brother group or a peer group, so that you do have a safe container around you. Because we are human beings, we need safety. Without safety, our nervous system will just go triggering off all the time. And, your fight, flight, freeze, adrenaline response will be firing all the time when we're not feeling safe. And for me personally, I've tried that. I've tried the no labeling thing for quite a while, and it made me too nervous. It wasn't safe enough. So I have certain connections that I do label. I have someone that I call my lover because lover feels good. I also have people that I don't label. And there is a certain degree of attachment that when I'm attaching more, I do like a label. Because when I'm opening up more, when I'm showing more of myself, when my attachment system goes on, and I do want to practice relating to this person without leaning on my attachment system too much, so without becoming too codependent, I do desire a certain degree of safety. And then within that safety, I can work on myself, reflect back at myself, and work from there. And yeah, when is it convenient to label someone for the outside world? It's such a personal thing. Um, I tell people who people are. I might just mention their names and I might mention what they mean to me if I don't want to put them in the label. To my parents, I might tell them some things, I might not tell them. So yeah, this is a very personal question. Like, how do you call people, and how would you call that to the outside world? That I can't like generally answer. It's so different for everyone. And yes, it can be very inconvenient when it's not clear, when it's not the usual traditional boyfriend girlfriend thing. Yeah. Just reading a question that comes up. Is it possible to keep a full empowerment when those systems activate, or is it part of getting into a relationship that you have to compromise on that? Probably to give room to the other's empowerment. Well, I don't think we need to compromise our own sense of power. The most important thing in my experience is awareness. So creating awareness of like, hey, I do have an attachment system, and in my world, it often means that I feel insecure, that your actions can trigger unsafety in me. Now, I don't want you to feel caught by me. I don't want you to change anything because I love you, because I love who you are, because that's what I fell in love with. And how can we design a relationship where we both feel free and safe enough? And it's a fine line, and this is not an easy one, to both feel free and safe. And this is already about relationships again, and I promised today to talk about being single, and it's actually some stuff that I already talked about. So if you check out my older videos about saboteurs and relationship dynamics, you'll find more on this. Yeah, you'll find more on this. How to prevent editing yourself. Well, what I do is making the relationship with myself more important than anything else. So if being me is making the other one run away, then run. It's being me is my selection criterion, is my selection procedure. So when I notice I'm not being me anymore, I go back to myself and like, hey, what am I doing? Is this what I want? And probably not. So being me is more important than being in any kind of connection with another person. So checking the questions. So going back to being single and not being celibate. How to deal with jealousy when someone isn't your partner but you still feel jealous? Yeah, so you can be single and dating and realize that jealousy comes up or insecurity comes up. I have that. I can have that. So what to do with that? I'm just thinking, because I have noticed over the last while that I have it in different degrees and different connections. So when I call someone my partner, I notice that I have more fear and jealousy and anxiety. And probably because these attachment systems are switched on to a deeper degree, and I'm putting more expectations on my partner than I do when someone is not my partner. So for now, I have a lover, and I'm noticing that I'm not as jealous or insecure as I can also be. And I think it's partly because I decided with myself, like, hey, I actually don't need to know everything that he's doing. I don't see him every day. I don't even speak to him every day. I don't need to know all the things that he's doing. And it's bringing me lots of peace. I'm not forcing myself to know everything, and to it's also a way of not having my attachment system switched on too much. So I'm kind of like regulating how much I am willing to have my attachment system and my insecurities and all of that switched on, because I know for myself that I have them. I'm one of those with an insecure attachment style of being more on the anxious side of things. So I will seek closeness to feel safe. And I am not prepared to fully go there with everyone I like. Because at this moment in my life, there is different people that are in different ways in my intimate circles that I might be sexy with, that I might have some kind of lovership or friends with benefits or whatever. Like, I don't even know how to call them. There is no box in society that they would fit in the way they're showing up in my life. And I'm not willing with everyone to be fully switched on and anxious all the time, because it would be a day task to manage my emotions. So I kind of like regulate how much I want to dive into that, how much I want to feel triggered, how much I want to research this codependency, because this attachment stuff, most people have it. Like, most people who are in this world, in these explorations, have some sort of insecure attachment style. And I don't think it will ever fully disappear. We just learn to deal with it better. And choose your battles. So I'm choosing with which persons I want to explore this. So if someone is a play partner, I might have play partners with who I do kinky things or play temple nights or play parties with. And I don't feel like bothering every day about their lives and what they're doing. So I'm kind of like regulating that. So the question was how to deal with jealousy when someone isn't your partner but you still feel jealous. It's a tough one, because being jealous to me means that our attachment system is in some way switched on. And we feel in some way insecure. Jealousy to me is insecurity for something. Like jealousy might be like, oh, I'm jealous of this other woman spending time with him, but underneath it, it may be, I'm afraid that when he's spending time with this other woman, that he'll like me less, or he doesn't want to be with me anymore. So when someone's not your partner, you might or might not have agreements on agreements. You might agree that you're both fully free to do whatever you want with whoever you want. You might have agreements that you do regulate what the other person is doing. Like, it could be on the full spectrum of that. But reading this question, I guess there is freedom for both to explore however you wanted, and that you're there, sitting there, dealing with your jealousy or insecurity, or however you want to put it. So the strongest way to deal with that is to have firm support of friends. So really good friend support to support you moving through your emotions and helping you to stay, or at least part of you to stay in that observer mode. That observer, that inner wise person that can tell you like, hey, the world's not ending, you're not dying, there's just something being really triggered. There's some inner child really hurting. And how can we be with that? And I've done that when I broke up my last long-term relationship. I knew that what would happen is that I would want to like reach out to him again and again, because there was my addiction pattern, was to like get a love from him again and again. So I would reach out, and I didn't want to go there because I knew that would like reiterate my attachment patterns with him. Me being anxious, reaching out to him being avoidant, and not being there in the way I want, so me feeling pain, confirming my belief that love hurts. And again, this is in another video, I talk about it more elaborately. So I knew that pattern would keep repeating itself if I would reach out to him. Also, he was not the person to support me with this. So I created an instant sister group of about 6 amazing women on WhatsApp, asking them if they were willing to support me through this, and they all said yes. And every time I wanted to reach out to him, I reached out to them. And I told them, hey, I'm here again, I'm hurting, please support me. And one of them might call me like, okay, can you feel what's there? Can you just be with this feeling? Can you feel this inner child that's hurting? How old is she? What's going on? What does she need from you now? Or someone would send me a text message with lots of hearts. So if you know you need support throughout these processes, find support in the right places, whether you're dealing with jealousy or anxiety or whatever it is, or anger, frustration, Find the right support. Yeah, super important. How to do it feeling too needy. I'm just choosing a few more that are related to this subject, and I might deal with another few questions I received later on. So how to do it feeling too needy, that's another one that I know very well. Oh yes, that is a big one. Feeling too needy. So that could be like, in my case, it can be like, I got one lover, there's some people that I see, and my desire for intimacy, for sexuality, for touch, for cuddles is more than what I'm getting because I'm at home with my children, like this week, or other reasons. I feel too needy for sexuality. This is one that I know in my personal life regularly. So what to do then? Well, I think most important thing is that this is a limiting belief of I am too much. I want too much, I am too much, I ask for too much. So first of all, check in with yourself. Check in with yourself. Is this true for you? Are you running this belief that you cannot ask for this much? If this is true for you, check in if your reality matches your belief, because maybe you think you're asking for too much and actually the other person is super happy when you ask for more. And maybe you are seeing someone who has a partner and there's a limit to how often you can see each other. Well, like really get clear on what your need is. Like I noticed that part of my need was that sometimes I would give a workshop, come home and be all alone in this big house of mine, and I feel super lonely. Or I'd be holding space so much for other people that I'm so often in this masculine space holding mode that it is my feminine side who is just undernourished big time. So one of the things I did, and I'll show you because it's super cute right now. One of the things I did I became a cat lady. This one is home when I come home late after workshops. And it's a big change. It's a big change. So I'm nourished in the not being alone. I'm nourished in my desire for touching another living creature. And that really takes away from wanting to fulfill myself elsewhere where it's not healthy, where I would like become in the codependent mode again, probably, you know, pushing some buttons that might not really work, that might feel needy towards another person. And please realize, because this neediness thing for the last few years has been a lot in this conscious community, that being needy is bad. Being needy equals bad. Well, under every form of neediness, there are needs. We all have needs, and needs are such a human thing. So when you are feeling too needy, so step one is check if there's any limiting belief that you're running. Step two is what's the underlying need? What's the underlying need? And can you fulfill that need? Because the underlying need is, all right, it's okay to have needs. It's totally okay to have needs. Neediness is nothing more than needs that you think will never get fulfilled. Neediness is nothing else than needs that you think that will never be fulfilled. So there is some sort of scarcity mindset. And you can figure out what that scarcity mindset is. And is it true? Is it true that this need can never be fulfilled? Is there nobody in your surroundings that you could reach out to fulfill this underlying need with? And if it's not your friends that you can cuddle, then come to a cuddle workshop. You know, there are ways to fulfill your needs in healthy ways. So figure that one out. How to know if you're seeing people from a state of abundance or from lack of something. Yeah, that's very much related to this. If there is the quickest rule of thumb, if you feel rushed about it, if you're in a hurry, it comes from neediness. It comes from scarcity mindset. If you can do it peacefully and slowly, it comes from abundance. That's the quick answer for that. The long answer is lots of self-work, and going inward and figuring out where you're coming from, because it's not one answer I can give for all of you. But yes, the feeling of rushed, my experience is that when I feel rushed, there is some sort of scarcity mindset. When there's any contraction in my body, there's a scarcity mindset. And it's this neediness thing that I was just talking to you about. When it comes from this openness, from this open-heartedness with no rush, then you can bet you're safe. Yeah. And again, I am pro compassion, to be very compassionate with ourselves. That if we catch ourselves being needy or rushed or doing something from less than a perfect mindset, to be compassionate with ourselves and be like, yeah, I'm human. I'm a human being and this is okay. I tried this, it's not working. It's not bringing me the fulfillment that I'm seeking. That's actually a third way of figuring out whether you come from abundance or from lack. Because if you come from lack, whatever you feed yourself, it will never be nourishing, because you'll never have the feeling that you'll have enough. And when you come from abundance, you're nourished just by, by opening up for this possibility of receiving. Yeah. So this is stuff where I can talk for hours about, and I'm doing that for almost half an hour, so I'm going to call this a night. And if you have more questions, let me know. And another Facebook Live I'm going to do soon is about being a lover. So about connecting with people who are in a relationship and the position of being the lover. So if you have any questions on that, let me know too. And I'll talk to you soon again. Have a great evening. Please keep on responding, even if you see this video later on. Keep sending in your questions, comments, experiences, and let's talk about this. Yes, these juicy topics. All right, have a great evening to you all. See you next time. Mwah.